Their numbers ranged between 30 and 80,000, while the Muslims numbered between 20 and 50,000. Charles Martel used the surrounding forest to conceal part of his forces. The battle began between the Muslims and the Franks and raged for 6 days without either side gaining the upper hand. On the 7th day, Abd al-Rahman al-Dakhil ordered a full assault to decide the battle quickly, before winter set in. Muslim cavalry pressed hard against the Frankish front line, trying to break a gap through their ranks. The Frankish infantry defended fiercely. After repeated attempts, Muslim horsemen broke through the first line. But the second line quickly sealed the breach. Until this moment, the Muslims held the offensive, and the Franks remained on the defensive. Then Duke Odo gave the signal to hidden soldiers, who attacked the Muslim camp, which held the spoils gathered from every earlier campaign in France. As well as the families of Muslim soldiers, this was the turning point of the battle. When the Muslim soldiers saw their camp and spoils being plundered, part of the army broke off to defend it. While the rest kept fighting the Franks, al-Dakhil tried to stop the withdrawal, but in vain. Charles Martel seized the resulting chaos and ordered his forces to encircle the Muslim soldiers. Abd al-Rahman al-Dakhil kept fighting until he was struck by an arrow and fell on the battlefield. When the Muslim soldiers saw their leader had fallen, their morale collapsed, and heavy losses followed. Those who had withdrawn to defend the camp succeeded in holding it until the end of the day. That night, the Muslim commanders met and decided to withdraw under cover of darkness. The next morning, the Franks found the Muslim camp eerily quiet. Charles Martel sent scouts, who discovered the Muslims had already left the area. The Muslims lost 12,000 in this battle, while the Franks lost 2,000. Western sources called this the Battle of Tours, or the Battle of Poitiers. Arab sources called it the Battle of the Martyrs' Pavement. After this battle, Islamic expansion into Europe paused for a long time. A rapid succession of governors ruled Al-Andalus, and conditions in the country deteriorated into chaos, at times resembling civil war. Abd al-Malik ibn Khaytan al-Fihri took power in 740 AD during his rule. A Berber revolt erupted in Morocco, led by Massacre al-Nadgari against the Umayyad state. Caliph Hisham ibn Abd al-Malik sent a Syrian army of 3,000 under Kulthum ibn Iyad al-Khayari, but it was defeated and its commander killed. The survivors fled to the city of Ceuta and took refuge there. The Berbers pursued and laid siege to the city. As the siege dragged on, conditions grew so dire that the soldiers were forced to eat their own animals. Their commander, Balj ibn Bishr al-Khayari, sent a message asking Governor Abd al-Malik al-Fihri for permission to cross into Al-Andalus. With the 10,000 troops that remained, fearing for his own authority, al-Fihri refused. But at the same time, a major Berber revolt erupted within Al-Andalus itself, which al-Fihri failed to contain. He was forced to allow the Syrian troops to cross, in exchange for their help suppressing the Berber revolt, on the condition that they leave Al-Andalus once the revolt was crushed. Ships were sent to Ceuta to ferry the Syrian troops across. They joined Abd al-Malik al-Fihri's forces and marched together against the Berbers, clashing at the Wadi Salat, near the city of Toledo. They achieved victory and crushed the revolt. Abd al-Malik al-Fihri then asked the Syrian troops to honor their agreement and leave Al-Andalus. They asked for ships to Africa instead of Morocco, to avoid facing the Berbers there. Al-Fihri refused. Furious, the Syrian troops rose against him, deposed him, and killed him. They installed their commander, Balj ibn Bishr al-Khayari, as ruler of Al-Andalus. Umayyad ibn Abd al-Malik al-Fihri, son of the previous governor, rallied the Arabs of Al-Andalus and clashed with the Syrian troops near the city of Tharagotha. A battle that ended with the defeat of the Andalusian Arabs and victory for the Syrian troops. But Governor Balj ibn Bishr was gravely wounded in the battle and died 2 days later. Thalaba ibn Salama al-Amili succeeded him, beginning his rule by attacking the city of Merida, a stronghold of Arab and Berber rebels who rejected Syrian rule. He killed a great many of them and enslaved around 10,000, mostly women and children, along with 1,000 of their nobles, marching them to Córdoba. He then humiliated them by selling them as slaves in the markets, auctioning off their nobles. One was even sold for the price of a dog. The Andalusians appealed to the governor of Africa, Hanzala ibn Safwan, sending a letter complaining of Thalaba's injustice. The governor of Afriqiya removed Thalaba from power and sent Abu al-Qadir al-Kalbi to govern Al-Andalus in his place. Upon arrival in Córdoba, Abu al-Qadir exiled Thalaba and a number of Syrian soldiers from Al-Andalus, placing them on a ship bound for Africa. He then distributed the remaining Syrian troops across scattered regions of Al-Andalus. Abu al-Qadir ruled for 2 years, showing favoritism toward the Yemeni Arabs over the Mudir Arabs, which fueled tribal conflict that only grew worse. Tensions boiled over when Abu al-Qadir insulted al-Sumayl ibn Hatim, leader of the Khazi Mudir tribes. Al-Sumayl formed an alliance with the Lakhmid and Judami tribes, agreeing to depose Abu al-Qadir and install one of their own. With a new ruler to be chosen each year, they rose against Abu al-Qadir, deposed and imprisoned him. Thawaba ibn Salama al-Judami was appointed governor of Al-Andalus and died about a year later. Yusuf ibn Abd al-Rahman al-Fihri, an ally of al-Sumayl ibn Hatim, then took power, ruling for a year. Yusuf al-Fihri was supposed to step down after that year, so a new governor could be chosen from the Judam tribe, but he refused to relinquish power. This enraged Yahya ibn Huraith al-Judami, who attacked the prison holding Abu al-Qadir al-Kalbi and freed him, reigniting the conflict. Abu al-Qadir and Yahya ibn Huraith rallied the Yemeni Arabs, while Yusuf al-Fihri and al-Sumayl ibn Hatim rallied the Adnani Arabs. The two sides clashed in 748 AD in the Battle of Shakunda, which ended in defeat for the Yemeni Arabs and the deaths of both Abu al-Qadir and Yahya ibn Huraith. After his victory, Yusuf al-Fihri continued to rule Al-Andalus and appointed his ally al-Sumayl ibn Hatim as governor of the Upper March, with its capital at Taragatha. Thousands of kilometers away, a decisive battle was unfolding, whose outcome would echo across Al-Andalus, the Great Battle of the Zab. It was fought between the Umayyads, led by Caliph Marwan ibn Muhammad, and the Abbasids, led by Abdullah ibn Ali, in the year 750 AD. The battle ended in an Umayyad defeat. Caliph Marwan ibn Muhammad fled to Egypt, but the Abbasids pursued and killed him. The Abbasid victory at the Zab led to the fall of the Umayyad state and the rise of the Abbasid Caliphate in its place. To prevent any Umayyad attempt to reclaim power, the first Abbasid Caliph, Abu al-Abbas al-Safa, launched a wave of assassinations, targeting Umayyad princes across the empire, forcing survivors to flee far from Abbasid-controlled lands. Some escaped successfully, others were not so fortunate. One of these princes was Abd al-Rahman ibn Muawiyah, known to history as Abd al-Rahman al-Dakhil, grandson of the Umayyad Caliph Hisham ibn Abd al-Malik. When the wave of assassinations began, Abd al-Rahman was in the region of Kinisreen, in what is now northern Syria. He set out on his flight westward until he reached Egypt, but he did not stay long. He then moved on to the city of Barca, where a servant named Badr, sent by his sister al-Asbad with gold and jewels, caught up with him. He then continued to the city of Tripoli and stayed there for a time, before continuing west until he reached the town of Melilla, finally putting himself out of danger. He began planning his future, sending his servant Badr to Al-Andalus to assess the situation there. Badr traveled to Al-Andalus and prepared a detailed report, which he sent back to Abd al-Rahman al-Dakhil. Al-Dakhil was stunned by the complex political situation. Badr's letter revealed that Al-Andalus was under the joint rule of Yusuf al-Fihri and al-Sumayl ibn Hatim, both from the Adnani tribes, while the Yemeni tribes contested their rule. Alongside them were the Berbers, who rejected Arab rule and believed they had a greater right to govern. They kept sparking revolts that destabilized the country. And in the north stood the Visigoths, the native population gathered in the kingdom of Asturias, preparing for wars of reconquest against the Muslims. Abd al-Rahman al-Dakhil aspired to become ruler of Al-Andalus and instructed his servant Badr to rally the Arab tribes to pledge allegiance to him. Badr began by approaching the Yemeni tribes, who welcomed al-Dakhil's arrival, hoping to win him to their cause and avenge their defeat at Shakunda. Badr did not stop there. He also approached the Adnanis, but for a different reason: legitimacy. Abd al-Rahman al-Dakhil was an Umayyad prince, heir to the ruling family, and thus held the strongest claim to Al-Andalus. The Adnani split into two camps. The first sided with Abd al-Rahman al-Dakhil, since he too was Adnani and an Umayyad prince. The second camp were the victors of Shakunda, the men currently in power, Yusuf al-Fihri and Al-Sumayl ibn Hatim, who rejected al-Dakhil's arrival. In the year 755, Abd al-Rahman ibn Muawiyah crossed the sea and entered Al-Andalus, earning the title Al-Dakhil, the Immigrant, as the first Umayyad prince of the ruling house to set foot in Al-Andalus since its conquest by Tariq ibn Ziyad. As soon as he arrived, large crowds rushed to pledge their allegiance to him. This alarmed Al-Sumayl ibn Hatim and Yusuf al-Fihri, who decided to strike him militarily before he could claim the throne. They gathered their army and marched to confront al-Dakhil. Meanwhile, al-Dakhil assembled an army, mostly Yemeni tribesmen, preparing for the confrontation. The two sides met near the city of Córdoba, in what became known as the Battle of al-Musara, which ended in victory for Abd al-Rahman al-Dakhil, while Al-Sumayl ibn Hatim and Yusuf al-Fihri fled the battlefield. Abd al-Rahman al-Dakhil entered the palace of Córdoba, where he was proclaimed Emir of Al-Andalus, founding the Umayyad state in Al-Andalus. Al-Sumayl and Yusuf al-Fihri attempted to reclaim power once more, but al-Dakhil managed to defeat them and rule alone. Within a single year, he had secured control over all of Al-Andalus. He organized the affairs of state, appointed governors over the cities, structured the administration, built mosques, appointed judges, and reorganized the army. Al-Dakhil's rule lasted 33 years, until his death in 788 AD. The Umayyad state of Al-Andalus continued for 2.5 centuries after his death, until it fell in 1031. When Al-Andalus fractured into small kingdoms, in a period known as the Age of the Taifa Kings. And with that, we come to the end of this documentary. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.